Hi, my name is Allison Field, and I want to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Create Your Blank, where we share stories of amazing people who have created their blank. We share how they got started and what inspired them on their journey of creating where they are today. Our wish is for you to experience your fullest expression so that your life is full of joy and passion because you're connecting with your heart and letting it guide your path. Today, we have Shameem Nazeer with us in the studio. I'm super excited to have her on with us to share her story. Welcome, Shameem.
Hi, Allison. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Let's start out sharing a little bit about what you're doing out in the world today, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm an emergency physician, and I started investing in commercial real estate a few years ago. And I realized a lot of other people were curious about that space and how to do it. So I started creating gatherings for other physicians to join me and learn more about it. And that's kind of how I created what we now call the Doctor Investor. And the Doctor Investor is committed to empowering physicians in the world of investing, because right now, the way it is, we're often very passive about it and we hand it off to others. And I just want physicians to really feel like they can also, get into it and be more active and make better choices for themselves.
Wow. Wow, that's a tall order, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So just for the audience, we met, 20 years ago, maybe now?
Yeah.
That's a little scary. Okay, we met 20 years ago when I was executive director for Allie's House, which was a nonprofit organization in Dallas. And I met Shameem, and you joined our board right away.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes. I think that's how we met. I don't know how I found you, but I think I was looking to get on a board at the time and just learning about the nonprofit space. And I found you guys and came out and interviewed.
Yeah, I remember it was Patty. Patty connected us.
Did she?
Our friend Patty, yeah.
Okay, I thought we met Patty later, but it could be.
Maybe we did.
I don't know who came
Anyway.
first, Patty or you, but one of us. And then we discovered that we had the same birthday.
Yes, and that's quite magical, I find.
Yeah.
So I love that we're kindred spirits that way. Feel like we have that connection.
Yeah.
So you live in Plano now, right?
Yes.
Plano, Texas, and you have 2 daughters,
Yes, I do.
and they are both out, right? And living
Yeah,
their
they're
life.
adults now. Yes. I've, had them to myself essentially since they were like 3 and 4, maybe. Like, so I've been a single mom really their entire life, pretty much. And now they have graduated college, and one has a master's degree. They're both working. It's really cool. Yeah.
I can't believe one has their master's degree already.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So that's cool. Okay, so let's get back to the Doctor Investor. So how did that come about for you? I mean, you didn't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm going to be the investor," right?
No, actually, quite the contrary. I had no intention of starting a company. I really just wanted to invest in real estate and kind of just, get my feet wet, maybe buy some rentals or a small multifamily. And that's kind of how I started off. And I joined a couple of mentorship programs over the course of, exploring that. And I met several other doctors who were in the space, doing different things. And what I realized though is, because I'm full time still working, I really couldn't take on such a tall order all by myself. I didn't have any partners or, whether it's a romantic partner or a business partner, I had neither. So I really couldn't, I didn't
You
feel,
are not lucky.
yeah. I mean, it turned out to be the best thing. And that's something also I want to really talk about is, I met a lot of other physicians who were doing real estate in different ways, like 5 or 6 of them. And I really thought I would just help them do whatever they were doing. My intention was to just partner up with someone or join a group or something like that. And it turned out nobody was really interested in taking me on, or they just didn't have any like position for me to fill. And one person said to me, I asked him, I said, why don't all you doctors just partner up, and why is everybody doing their own thing?
Mhm.
And he said, everybody is different and everyone has their own tribe, who will resonate with one person may not resonate with another. So he encouraged me to really start my own company.
Mhm.
And so that's what and I still hadn't really figured out what exactly that was going to look like. And I just started creating this sort of meetup group, or a little gathering to say, hey, let's get together and meet some real estate sponsors or syndicators and understand how the business works. Because I always felt that what really matters is relationships, and to build that trust and relationship in order to work with someone. And we know we only really invest with or work with people that we know that we know, like, and trust, right? Like that's the formula. And how do we get to do that? We only get to do that when we meet them several times and we get to know them. And
Mhm.
I felt that that is what I wanted to provide with the Doctor Investor and our gatherings that we were creating, was really to provide that opportunity for investors to actually meet the people in the field who are doing these deals, and just understand their backstory, understand their personality, their philosophy, how they work, so that when the deals come up, you have that history with them and you can, maybe invest. So that's really how it began, but it's really evolving into something so much more, because what I've realized is that, doctors are sort of, first of all, uninterested in the space altogether. And I was same, I really had no interest in the world of finance or business or these types of things. And most physicians are like that. And we tend to hand it off to others, and we don't. And what happens when you do that in life, right? Whether it's you're cleaning your house or whether you're investing, when you are not involved and you pass it off to someone else, you're not taking responsibility.
That's
And
right.
then when you don't take responsibility for something, you really don't impact it the way you want. You don't get the results you want. And you tend to be, you can tell, you can say that it happened because of someone else, but it's really, you're not involved and engaged. It's just like our health. I often use the same, that comparison or analogy is how we have to be engaged in our own health to really make an impact.
Yes.
You can go to a doctor or a surgeon, and certainly they may know a lot about health. But if we're not involved and we're not taking responsibility for our own health, we can't have the results we want.
Right. Right. And you know what? That's like it anywhere. And I have found recently with services that I don't want to do and that I want to turn over to somebody else, right? It gets so screwed up if I don't ask the right questions, or if
Yes.
I don't establish that relationship with that person and get to know that person. And so it's really key. And I would imagine doctors specifically, I mean, they're way busy, you know, and they would like to turn that stuff over. So I love that, you saw an entry point for yourself in getting involved in that and helping other doctors do the same in doing something that is really important. I mean, our money is our money, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's about empowerment, and it's about, owning your life and your life story and
Mhm.
what you want to do with that. It's not really about amassing wealth, but how do you want to live your life and then creating that, right? It's kind of what you're doing with Create Your Blank. There's a blank in all aspects of our life, whether that's in our personal life, our creative life, our financial life, and we have to choose, like, what do we want to create there?
That's right. That's right. Well, cool. So, what inspired you to, I mean, you told the story of starting it, but what was the spark that was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do real estate," because there's all sorts of investing opportunities, right? There's a stock market, there's real estate, there's the more passive methods, but what sparked it for real estate for you?
Well, most doctors, we all have retirement accounts, and a lot of them obviously are invested in the stock market. So I have a vague understanding of that part of it. But that's exactly what the stock market is. It's a very far off, distant thing that we are invested in. We don't really have a tangible understanding of what that is. And we have no real experience of those companies or that the businesses that we're invested in through the stock market. And the wonderful thing about real estate is it's so tangible, and you can actually go visit and go look at it and walk through it and feel what it's like to be in that neighborhood, that market. And as it's evolving, whether you are renovating an apartment complex or you're having a new development, you get to see the various stages. I mean, it's much more tangible. and
Mhm.
real, and you actually see how the business is done versus investing in, some stock on the stock exchange. You really don't know what's going on in that business at all. And I'm not saying it's a bad investment. It may be a great investment. It's just that we don't really it's hard to get engaged with that, right? I mean, some people are. And I have seen some doctors even who get really interested in buying and selling stocks. But I felt like that is something more, it's a little bit more abstract for us
Mhm.
versus real estate, at least for me, especially. It was something much more tangible that I could experience and get involved with in a real way.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, cool. So tell us little bit about a project that, maybe one of the first projects that you took on in real estate, and how did that happen, and what does it look like? And, how do you spend your time with that?
Yeah. Well, what I do actually, I don't go buy property. My company doesn't buy properties. What we did is raise capital for a project. So when you raise capital through a fund, and let's say in most of these investments, the minimum investment is like, $50,000. And that is even a lot of change. But it's if you bring in even a larger sum, usually you get a better profit share. So what
Okay.
we did is we grouped all our investors and brought in $1 million. So that gave us a better profit split from the developer. And
Mhm.
so we invested in a land development project just south of Austin. It was with the land development company out there, or developer out there, who had 300 acres, and they had a master plan community designed, and they were doing the horizontal development. They are doing the horizontal development for that master plan community. So that's what we're invested in currently.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we have another fund that's open for a high-rise development in Dallas downtown.
Nice. Lucrative projects there, south of Austin and in Dallas. That's
Yeah.
cool. So how do you find your projects? That you
Well, there are so many projects out there. Quite honestly, that's not the hard part. I feel like I get projects every day in my inbox or my LinkedIn. What's really difficult is finding the right partners and people you want to work with. I
Mm,
think that's where the real mining goes on, is really meeting with these various companies and developers and getting to know them, understanding their track record, their reputation. All of those things are what are most important when we go to invest, is who we're investing with. They say, do you invest or bet on the horse or the jockey? And it's usually about the jockey in our case.
yeah, a good analogy there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that sounds interesting. And so you get all these deals in your inbox and you're perusing, and do you have a core group that you work together with? Or do you pick and choose who you're going to work together with different, depending on the project? How's that?
Yeah, I generally choose. I mean, it's still a pretty young company, so we've worked with two developers so far, and I like that. I like that have very narrow, small circle of people that we choose from, and then and I am basically I'm setting up a committee of sorts to like vet these people. So I have my attorneys, and then I have financial analysts that take a look at the deals and help me with these sponsors and understand them better, so that so we have a kind of a group effort on my end, make sure that we're working with good people.
Cool. Exciting, Shameem. And how do you get your word out to everybody about what you're doing? How are you in the social space now?
Gosh, that's the 90% of my work, it feels like. There's all this other work on the fund side and the raising of capital and vetting partners, but the marketing is how you get to put the word out, right? I mean, it's like they say, you can have a great product, but if nobody knows who you are and what you sell, you can't really succeed. So yes, I'm on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm, crawling along with. And then I have the LinkedIn and other, I think we are on TikTok and like a couple others, but it's just, mostly I focus on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and then now
Mhm.
YouTube. And I love YouTube because it's a place where we can talk like this, right? And people get to know you and
Yeah.
see who you are. So
Yeah.
that's kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this space for that reason. It's a little more, I don't know, more personal, I think,
Hmm.
and more tangible for me. And so I would imagine for you as well.
Yeah. That's where I live. I live on Google and YouTube. So, and then a little Netflix.
Thrown in every now and then
Like
for
my
entertainment.
education and my entertainment all in one.
I love it. I love it. So, what would you recommend for someone who is wanting to create their blank and they don't know where they want to go? What would your little nugget be for
This is
that?
the best. This is the meat of this interview. This is exciting because I know so many people in this place in their life, whether it be my own children or several friends of mine and even myself, and how it's evolved for me, honestly. Like, it's hard for me to get motivated about money. It's not been like it's not a driving force, let's say. It's great to have, but it's not really a driver. I had to really discover for myself what is really motivating me,
Mhm.
and we have to, I think, for each of us, find our own like core value that we're after. Because if we're not connected with that core value, it's very hard to stay motivated and
Yes.
to stay in the game.
Yes.
And so for me, it's about service. I think that's part of my DNA. I don't know if you know the Enneagram, that I'm a 2.
You're a two? Yeah.
Enneagram 2, helper. It's just part of my DNA. It's not good or bad. I think it's just I'm hardwired to
Yeah.
serve.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I became a doctor. It's even partly why I became an emergency medicine doctor, because I really wanted to be that doctor who could help anyone at any time and help all types of people with any type of problem. And so that, I think, what I've realized is, even with this, even though it's about real estate and investing, it's really, how do I serve the physician community? Because they're the advocate for their patients, their communities, and their families and everyone else. And I want to support them because I've been in the trenches with them. I know who they are. I know how they think, and they're my people. And I want to see them succeed, and I want to see them serve more people. And I think the way we can all, have that effect to serve the larger whole and community and society is by supporting those who are doing that. Yeah. So that's my goal.
Love it. Love it. And you're right. I think the values is the most important thing to connect to. Because if we're not honoring our values, whatever that is, whatever the core value is, or always look at the top 10, and where you're aligned with on the top 10. And if you're not aligned, it's not going to feel good. You're not going to be motivated. It's not going to be sustainable. You could fake it, I think, for a while, but inevitably it's going to catch up and you're going to become dissatisfied with whatever it is you're doing. So good for you finding this little niche for yourself. So do you have any events coming up that you would like to share with our audience?
I'm hoping to do more events. We did several events over the last couple of years, but I don't have one planned at the moment. What we are doing is launching an online community for doctors who are interested in learning more about these topics and, learning and engaging with the investing world. And again, what my focus is really how to build the relationships first. And so instead of doing it in person, we're going to have an online platform where people can join and review recordings and meetings, and also join the live meetings to really engage with these partners in real time before they invest with them.
Cool. I was involved with a group in Dallas who, I think it was Lakewood Women in Business, and they build relationships first, business will follow. And
Yes.
that's the key.
I know. And I think it's unfair that we don't get to do that with everything.
I know, but we could create it.
I know. I was thinking, what about like my hairdresser and my mechanic and everybody else that I have to just go in and, hand over to and see how it turns out?
Just get it done.
Yeah, we don't have that. Unfortunately, the luxury of really getting to, know people very well. And I think that especially if you're, wanting to invest thousands of dollars potentially, this is a long-term project. It's like 5 to 7 years that you're invested and tied to this company. You really shouldn't have to do it without really getting to know them.
Yeah, true that for sure. So, how do people connect with you so that they can stay up on all the latest and greatest with you building this community, online community?
Yeah, so we'll start announcing it on all the social media platforms pretty soon, but there is our website, thedoctorinvestor.com. I'm on LinkedIn at Shameem Rana Nazir, probably has my middle name thrown in there, but it's Shameem Nazeer. And you can find me on all the channels with Shameem Nazeer, MD.
Okay, great.
Hmm.
Thank you. And we will post those notes in the comments section for anybody who's wanting to connect with you. So, Shameem, thank you so much for joining me today. I think that's a wrap. It was wonderful having you on the show and learning all about the ins and outs of your journey. And if you enjoyed this segment, please feel free to add comments as we'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to receive notifications of future episodes, please click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Shameem.